It began as nothing more than a playful prank among friends and family. My husband, Mark, had always been the one who laughed the loudest, pulled the silliest jokes, and treated life like it was one big comedy show. So, when we decided to leave him behind at the picnic spot just a few miles from home, it seemed harmless, typical fun for our group. "He'll crack up when he finds us waiting at the cafe," I'd said, laughing as we drove off. Everyone chimed in, joking about how he'd probably hitch a ride or call us with that goofy grin of his. But that day, the joke didn't end in laughter. Mark never came home. At first, I figured he was getting back at us, maybe camping out somewhere or staying with a buddy to make us squirm a little. I even laughed it off, telling everyone not to worry. But when the morning came and his phone was still dead, that easy laughter in my voice vanished. My stomach tightened with a creeping sense of dread. By noon the next day, I called the police. They said people sometimes just needed time alone. But I knew Mark, for all his clownish energy. He wasn't the type to stay angry or to disappear. My mind kept replaying that moment as we drove away. His face a mix of confusion and amusement. Was that the last time I'd ever see him like that? The next few days were nothing but guilt and sleepless searching. His car was still parked at the picnic site, but he was gone, and his backpack was sitting in the trunk. None of it made sense. He wouldn't wander off without his phone or water. The police combed through the nearby woods, and I joined them, calling his name until my voice cracked. Every sound in the forest made my heart race, but there was never an answer. Weeks went by. Friends stopped checking in as much. Whispers started about how our harmless prank might have gone too far. Some said maybe Mark had just walked away, that our marriage wasn't as picture-perfect as it looked. Their words stung, but deep down, a part of me knew there was truth buried in them. Lately, Mark had seemed different. He still smiled, but it was a kind of smile people wear when they're trying to hide something heavy. Then one evening, my phone rang from an unknown number. When I answered, a trembling voice said, "Lena, it's me." My heart stopped. It was Mark. I broke down, crying with relief and anger all at once. "Where are you?" I shouted. He paused before answering, "Close, but not home. I need to talk to you first." We met at a small diner just outside town. He looked changed, thinner, tanned, and strangely calm. I ran to hug him, but he didn't hug back. "Mark, what happened? Where have you been?" I asked. He stared at his coffee before speaking quietly. "When you left me there, I realized something. You all thought it was funny, like I didn't matter. But in that moment, it hit me just how invisible I'd become." His words cut through me. I tried to tell him it was just a dumb joke, but he shook his head. "It wasn't just a prank, Lena. It's been years of being the punchline, the fool in every story. That day only made me see how little anyone really saw me." I had no response. The guilt pressed down so hard I could barely breathe. He told me he'd walk for miles until he reached a cabin owned by an old friend. He stayed there, thinking things through. "I had to figure out if going back made sense," he admitted. "But then I realized how much I still love you. That's why I came back. Not to end the joke, but to start over." I cried, apologizing again and again, but Mark only looked weary. "You can't undo what happened," he said softly, "but maybe we can learn from it." We drove home in silence that night. I kept glancing at him, afraid he might vanish again. Everything inside the house looked the same. The couch, the photos, his half-read book on the shelf. But something between us had shifted. He unpacked quietly, then went to the backyard, standing in the spot where he'd once joked about building a fire pit. He stared into the distance for a long time. In the weeks that followed, we started talking, really talking, for the first time in years. He opened up about how small he'd felt, how the laughter that once brought him joy had started to remind him of loneliness. I listened, truly listened, for once. The man everyone called foolish turned out to carry more depth than I had ever bothered to see. It's been months now since that day. We don't make jokes at each other's expense anymore. Sometimes, when I think about how close I came to losing him, I shiver. The prank that was supposed to make us laugh ended up teaching us something entirely different. That love doesn't die in anger, but in silence. And no one deserves to feel like a joke in their own home. Though Mark forgave us, I still haven't forgiven myself. Because when he came back, it wasn't just our marriage that changed. I did. I finally understood that the people we call fools are often the ones carrying the heaviest hearts, just waiting for someone to finally see them.